My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. Welcome to the start of another weekend vlog. It's Saturday. It's a very dull, very mild day. It's like +2 Celsius outside, so I want to say spring is here, but like there's so much snow. It's not here yet. This is a false warm spring, because usually in March we get a lot of random snowstorms and shit. Anyways, welcome to the vlog, my friends. This weekend is going to be supremely chill as usual. Later tonight I am going to an author signing with my friend Sophia. You guys love her and know her, and you better be following her on YouTube. Go subscribe to her shit because her videos are so fantastic. She finally joined YouTube this year. Y'all are in for a treat. Go follow her shit. The information will be in the description, of course. But yes, we're gonna go see Sarah K.L. Wilson, who is a Canadian author. I originally Googled her, and Google says that she lives in New York, and I was like, a New York author coming to Winnipeg? What the fuck? We usually don't get the big names. We also don't really get many like big publishers either. Her publisher is Orbit. You guys know how much I love Orbit. So I'm excited. She's also going to be moderated, or like her chat's going to be run by Nisha J. Tooley, who is a Winnipeg author. So love that. It's going to be very fun. I'm probably going to be breaking my book buying ban tonight to get a book, because I feel so weird showing up to an author signing and like I kind of want to get something signed. You know what I mean? I guess it's not an author signing. It's like a hour-long chat and then question period and whatever. And then, of course, there's the signing afterwards. And it sounds good. Like, her book sounds good. It's The Trident and the Pearl. Some of the reviews are mixed, but one of the people that I follow on TikTok, who is someone that I've been following for a while, is one of those people that I follow exclusively because we align on so few things. Like, we align on Gideon the Ninth and maybe a couple other things that I don't really remember. But if she loves a book, I know I'm going to have problems with it. And then if she hates a book, I know I'm going to love it. And she didn't really like this book, so I'm like, okay, high chance I'm gonna like this one, unless this is one of the weird ones that like I don't align with. It is romantasy, so I'm a little worried about it, but it should be okay. It should be fine. Hopefully. If it's a hardcover, I will not be buying it. But it's Orbit, so I'm assuming soft cover. If it's not a soft cover, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. Anyways. Welcome to the vlog, my beautiful friends. Other than that, I ain't got nothing going on this weekend. I'm gonna do some reading. I've already been doing some reading. Last night, I finished the arc for Green and Deadly Things by Jenn Lyons. Ended up giving that one 4 stars. It was good. I do think the ending kind of lost me a little bit in plot, and I don't know if my focus was completely there when I was finishing up the last 30%, but overall it was good. I think it's kind of a banger. It did choose to do a couple things character-wise and relationship-wise that I wasn't really in total agreement with, and I think the book would have been stronger sans some of that, but overall wasn't terrible. You know, I enjoyed it. Obviously, I gave it 4 stars. Good lord. Finished that last night. Love that for me. First book of March done and dusted. There we go. And then today I've been sat here and I just polished off this little tiny thing in one sitting. It's The Full Moon Coffee Shop by Mai Mochizuki, translated by Jesse Kirkwood. This was cute. It was cute. It's a little like translated work that my Libby audiobook was running out in like a day. So I was like, I should probably actually read this. And it is definitely very along the same lines of Before the Coffee Gets Cold and also the Mie Lee Dream Department Store. I still like the Delegate Dream Department Store so much more than a lot of this style of book that I've been reading, because that one follows one main character. And yes, we do dip in and out of other people's lives that she's affecting as she's working at this dream department store. But these books, I've found a lot of these like cozy translated works out of Japan and Korea have been very along the same note, like the Kamogawa Food Detectives. Same vibe, just less fantasy. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, same vibes, a little bit of fantasy, and like it's all good and wonderful, and I like the vibe sort of, but there just isn't anything groundbreaking in them. And like it is like, this was cutie. I did like this more than the Before the Coffee Gets Cold book that I read. What I like best about these kind of books is when the whimsy is all tied together and it all makes sense and it's all for a purpose, like with Mie Lee's The Delegate Dream Department Store, because that follows one character. This one here follows multiple different characters, but they're all connected in some kind of a way, which becomes very clear by the end of the book. Like, why they're connected, why they're all being affected by this little coffee shop. But I was pleasantly surprised by the beginning of this book and the kind of setup with our first character, who is Mizuki, who is this ex primary school teacher turned script writer who is kind of on the outs. She's very recently single. She's 40. She feels just like a failure, all this kind of stuff. And she's lost her spark and whatever. And I was like, okay, like I want to see how this turns around. And then we get to the actual like setup with the cats and the cafe. And I say the cats because it is a cafe run by cats, like huge motherfucking cats. Because I think our Mizuki describes the first cat as being like 6 feet tall and really furry, and I'm like, that's terrifying. I don't know about you, but seeing a 6 foot tall bipedal cat, no thank you. So a lot of this, I was picturing either someone from Cats the musical, like the movie version, which is terrifying, or one of those really awful AI cats in the AI cat videos that are around the internet. I kept having that in my head, so it kind of took me out of it a little bit, but that's on me, not the book. I like the idea of it because it's basically showing each of these characters like how they can, you know, fulfill their life to the best. But there wasn't really anything more than that. It kind of just felt like each of these characters was down on their luck, and then they would meet these cats, and the cats would be like, actually, if you look at your 9th house, because it was all very astrological sign vibe. And as soon as we got to that, it was so much like explanation that I was just like, I've lost it. I've lost the whimsy. I don't care. It was boring as soon as we got to those parts. It wasn't like a mysterious, like, maybe if you do this and this, you should turn your life around. It was very much like, just fucking fix your shit and your life will turn around. And then the people would wake up from this weird dream and they'd be like, I'm gonna turn my life around. I'm like, that's very moral of the story. And I'm like, okay. So in that, I didn't like that aspect of it, but I think there is a trend with these kind of translated works, these kind of cozier books. They have a very episodic feeling to them. A lot of people find comfort in that. Like it is the same thing over and over again. It's cutie, it's cozy, there's no high stakes. It just does what it sets out to do. It doesn't do anything insane. It's not anything crazy or mind-blowing or whatever, and it does exactly what it wants to do. And that's what this did. And I can't fault it in that. So, an enjoyable 2 hours of reading. Love that for me. I really don't know what else I'm going to be reading because I have so many options, as is per usual. And I'm not in the mood for anything in particular right now. So, which is why I picked that book up, because I was like, oh, 2 hours of reading. I can easily do that. Just sit down and read something, you know, read towards one of my goals, which is reading more translated books, and see what happens from there. So yeah, don't know what I'm going to be reading next. I could be reading Aicha, which is one of the arcs that I've got going on. I've got, you know, almost 190 books on my physical TBR that I could be reading. Oh, I could probably read the Emily Austen that I was going to read last weekend because I went to go see her signing the Is This a Cry for Help? I could read that. I have so many other things I could be reading too. So many different fantasy books. So many different. I should read a sci-fi too. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. So, but I've already finished 2 books this weekend. Crazy. Crazy. So, also, what I'm going to be working on this weekend is a lot of Sage's Story, because I am in the midst of my doing an hour of work every day, roughly, of creative work of some kind. I have yet to actually write anything, like tip tap on my keys, but the next thing I'm gonna do is actually start writing. The other day, was it 2 days ago? Yes, because last night I took a little break. I ended up doing some journaling on my own for my own personal brain situations and just like gentle creative things as you have it. I didn't do any work on Sage's Story, but the night before I worked for multiple hours on Sage's Story. I had finished up my writing vlog. That's what I was doing on Thursday. I finished up my writing vlog that is now live on my channel, the last video from me, the one right before this one. And I had talked about like a scene breakdown, and at the end of it, like how I write scenes. And I was talking for like over 30 minutes. I mentioned the scene brainstorm in the style of Sarah Mugulrana, and I found the screenshot of her Instagram post or story, I can't remember what it is, that I used, that I was like, oh, this is a really fascinating thing to do. So then I sat here after finishing my writing vlog, and I started, like, I wrote down at the top there, like, from her Instagram, warm up before writing, you sketch out the rough scene beats and key actions of the scene you're about to write, the emotional arc if there is one, and key dialogue and characters of the moment. So I was like, okay, I'm just actually thinking about like what comes next in the scene. So I ended up rereading the scene right before I ended up stopping writing, like the last scene that I wrote in the draft, and I was like, great, what comes next? And I literally sketched out what I want the scene to be, what I need to remember as an author, different kind of things. And that spiraled out like, I actually need to start thinking about other characters in this island. And I realized that I hadn't done a lot of thinking about that. Like I have a list of names of different characters that are going to be around that I had previously brainstormed like probably 2 years ago at this point. So I went and found that on my computer. I ended up writing down people on the island. I started writing down who they are and then what they do, because I do need to actually remember, like, you know, this is a town I'm building, a village, if you will. And I needed to write down what they were doing. And then I was like, I don't have any fucking suspects for this mystery that I'm doing, right? Like, it's a different sort of mystery because obviously Sage's story, like when they get there, they are more worried about the fact that there's a creature that's killing people or a creature that's coming in and stealing livestock and then eventually kills people, right? Like there's something going on. And then eventually I was like, well, they also have to start suspecting people of shit because of shit down the road. So I was like, I don't have any fucking suspects. I don't know how to get there. And I realized that very clearly. Like I was like, okay, well, once all of these different reveals are done, and we're into the second half of the book, I had to start thinking about things and how my crew was going to figure things out and like how they were going to narrow down their suspect field, because Jesus Christ, if I didn't realize that I didn't have a fucking suspect field. So I started writing down like the crew chooses a couple folks to narrow down the suspect pool. First up, it's those who have magic, because anyone without magic would not be able to fucking do this, obviously. And then others that have some sort of clues linked to them. And then I was like, what are the fucking clues that link the villain directly to the what's happening? Like, how would they figure that out? You know what I mean? And even if it's not figuring it out, it's just me as an author having to include these things in the text so that once everything comes together, readers will be like, oh, I see now. Everything is coming together now. You know what I mean? Like I needed to actually figure that out. So I sat for the longest time coming up with names and all of their like jobs and shit. And then I was like, who could be a suspect and why? I haven't even really figured out the whys, just like possible people who would be suspects or like people that they would come across. So what I'm realizing is that I don't have a lot of, I do have a lot of this book figured out, but I have a lot of the bones of it figured out. I don't have any of the muscle or sinew or skin or organs or anything. So I'm like, wow, I got to figure that out. And that's going to also come with writing. So today I would like to at some point actually do some writing. Maybe now that I've done reading for the day. I do have my computer next to me, but I am going to go see that author later tonight with Sophia. So I don't know if we're doing dinner beforehand or if we are just going to go for the signing, for the event and signing. I do have to talk to her because I know she's hanging out with other people today. But so yeah, that's where we're at on this lovely here Saturday. I do also need to do 3 of my crochet book squares to catch up for the books that I've been reading because I haven't actually done those yet. I have my bag of yarn in front of me, so maybe I'll do that as well. I don't know. It's gonna be a good time. And then tomorrow, absolutely no plans. Probably going over to mom and dad's for dinner as is usual. No plans though. And at some point I do need to maybe redo my nails because I have officially peeled off all the nails. My thumbnail's a little damaged, but we are going bare for the first time in a really long time. Just letting my nails have a little bit of a break from the gel nail stuff. But anyways, friends, it's gonna be a very chill weekend, as is per usual. I'm gonna be yapping about a lot of random shit. As is per usual. I'll catch up with you a little later, but yeah, welcome to the vlog, my friends. It's gonna be a good one.
Oh my goodness gracious. What are you doing? Oh my. She's a little dancer. Little dancer. Oh baby. Wow. Stretch. wants to cuddle. Thank you for the kisses. No, you can't have my string. There's no for you. Look at this baby. Oh, she went out.
Hello, friends. Happy Sunday. Technically Monday, because it's almost 1:30 in the morning. Hello. I am here. So is Freya. She's just walking around. I wanted to pop in and give a little update since I didn't really talk to you guys a whole lot yesterday, other than starting the vlog. It's been a very good weekend, my friends. Not only did I go to that wonderful author event yesterday, I also did some very productive stuff yesterday and today. So, yesterday's author event for The Trident and the Pearl by Sarah K.L. Wilson. And yes, you see that correctly. I am holding it in my hand. That means I did break my book buying ban. It's fine. We're right back on it. It's okay. I'm immediately reading it, so like it doesn't sit on my TBR too long. Listen, guys, I'm not bailing on my challenge of reading down to 150 books on my TBR, but like sometimes you just need to have a little bit of wiggle room, and that wiggle room is when you go to author events, especially ones that are for an author that is debuting her trad debut with Orbit. Who is your favorite publisher? One day I shall have my own name on an Orbit book. It's gonna happen. I'm manifesting it. It's gonna happen. But anyways, so yes, yesterday I ended up going to this. I knew that my friend Sophia was gonna go, and I was debating whether or not to, like, if we were gonna go together, like if I was gonna go get her. I was gonna do like a whole bookstore day and like dinner and all this kind of stuff. And then she ended up she was spending the day with her other friends, and so she was like, I'll just meet you there. And I was like, sure. Yeah, why not? So I went a little early and got myself a cheeky little mac and cheese from the restaurant. Oh my god. I sat down, had a little time to myself, brought my notebook with me, which was so fun because I did some planning for Far Horizons there. And like the waiter, I love the waiters at this at the restaurant there. I really love Prairie Ink. I love it so much. I'm there too often, really. But I love the waiters there. They're so fun. And the food is amazing. So we love that. So I ended up sitting there for a little bit, got myself a little drinky. And then I went to the book signing portion. The event was surprisingly not well attended. Like there were a fair amount of empty seats. And I'm wondering if it was because it was a Saturday night and not like a during the week event, because the during the week events that I've been to were packed. This one was very not. And I find that so sad because the Orbit's my favorite publisher. So like the turnout should have been better. But it was definitely still a really fun event. I got to see Nisha J. Tooley again because she was the one who was like moderating the chat between her and Sarah. So that was really lovely. Nisha J. Tooley had a signing for her romance book. Maybe it was in 2024, maybe it was in 2025. Do I remember? No, time is a soup. Met her at McNally then for that one, so it was nice to see her again. Pretty sure she didn't remember us, but like it's still nice to see authors come back. And she's a Winnipeg author, so we love that. And Sarah was lovely as well, the author who wrote this. She has also like a very fascinating from self-publishing to trad pub pipeline, because she did self-publishing and she hired an editor that ended up being like, Sarah, do you have representation yet? Because this is amazing. And then they were friends with an agent and like hooked up the agent with Sarah, which is crazy. Like she didn't even query anybody. She just got hooked up with an agent and the agent said yes and hired her on without having any book. Like nuts. And then she said that her agent was like, okay, give me 6 ideas by Monday and we'll see what we can run with. And one of them was The Trident and the Pearl. She's here now, which is crazy. And she's already doing like final edits on the second book, which is coming out next year in 2027. And then the third book she is drafting. So, or drafting, like she's done drafting it or something. Like she's zooming. she's zooming, and they're already talking about other options. So it's so interesting to hear like the ins and outs of the industry, and like getting to see a little bit behind the door and stuff like that. So love that. And it was interesting to have the conversation between two like indie pubbed authors who went trad as well, as someone who's planning to do that, hopefully. It's a cool conversation anyways. But yeah, so that was lovely. Met Sophia there. We kind of sat around and chatted, and then got to chat with Sarah afterwards, and I gave Sarah one of my bookmarks because I always do that. Fuck yeah, I need to order more of my bookmarks because I am out officially of any of them, because that was my last one. I literally went scouring around my apartment because I have a couple that are really damaged from being in my bag because I carry them everywhere. I have a couple that were really, really damaged from being in my bag, so I didn't bring them. But then I went scouring through my books in like my little bookcase in the front of my place because I have all my author copies there. And I found one from when I was doing one of the events last year. So thank fuck for that. I need to make another order, restock, if you will, because they're the best business cards you could ever ask for. Truly. I need to replace those. But yeah, so that was my night. My little mic died, so apologies. But that was my night yesterday. I need to charge this now. I noticed very briefly that like this little dongle thing was blinking, and I was like, oh, it's no longer connected to my mic. That was my night yesterday. Because listening to creatives talk is always very inspiring to me, I ended up coming home and actually cracking open Ye Olde Far Horizons and writing some words, which I think is really fun, and just like thinking a lot about the story and like different plans that I have for it. And then today, when I got home from mom and dad's after dinner, I sat down and did some more writing, and I finally cracked the 20,000 word mark in the draft, which is amazing. And then I immediately, since last night, I've been tossing around a couple ideas for like tweaking the beginning of the book, because I think I've been thinking so hard about, the idea. If you've heard me pitch Far Horizons a number of times, I always say that like an adventuring party doesn't have the money to get to their final destination, so they're paying as they go, and then they run out of funds a couple days away, and so the ship drops them off at a different island and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, does that make sense as a trajectory? And then I was like, what if there's something a little bit spicier? Like, what if they just get dropped off there because like the captain like betrays them or something? Like, I started playing with ideas like that. I changed the beginning, which I think is really fun and exciting. Then I realized I have to go back and re-edit and shift and change the beginning, because I am only 20,000 words in. So I was like, okay, well, I can go back. I only have 5 or 6 chapters written. I can go in and I can fiddle and change and make that new idea a thing in the book. So that's what I've been doing. I've been slowly shifting the story just a little bit to make it that new thing. I still have a couple pieces I have to left to do. I do have to write a brand new scene to make this thing happen. Also, I have to rewrite a whole chunk of what's coming up to make it make more sense. So I have hit the 20,000 word mark, but a lot of those words are not useful anymore. I need to change them, but I'm slowly changing them. And I'm doing a thing where whatever I'm cutting out, if I cut like big swaths of text, I paste them in a different scene that just says cut files, because then it stays word count wise, so that I'm just building up a beefy word count, because I'm still writing these words and I still want to do that, but I don't want to, it's just in my head that I don't want to drop that number down. But a lot of what I'm changing for this bigger change at the beginning, which I think is going to make the book more interesting, more snappy right away. So we love that. And it is an idea that has since now spiraled out into me doing some backstory planning for one of my characters, and then linking how and even just why the crew is on the ship of the Aurora, which is the ship that I named, why they're there. I'm just like, yeah, like, how did they get to the ship? Where are they even going? Why are they going there? All this sorts of stuff. So I'm like beefing up this one person's backstory. It's Xantar, one of the crew. I also, since that one person, I can't remember if it was on TikTok or on YouTube, but someone commented that I should change the name of the crew, like their adventuring name, into something more interesting because fandom. And I'm like, yeah, now that I'm in here, I'm like, yeah, I should probably change their name to something more interesting, because I keep saying like, oh, the crew of the Aurora, to be very specific of like, I'm talking about the crew, like the sailing crew, not the Cavern Crew, my like adventuring party, I need to give them a better name. If any of you have random suggestions for fun adventuring party names, please let me know. I don't know how people come up with adventuring party names. Even when I was in D&D, we never like came up with a name for our group as players, and I was a DM for one. They never came up with a name for their adventuring party. I just called them Witchy Children because that's like the campaign name that I came up with, and I was like, don't have a name for them as like an adventuring party. Like, I don't know how Critical Role comes up with like Mighty Nine and Vox Machina and all this kind of stuff. Bell's Hells was iffy. It was a shitty name, I'm not gonna lie. But like, Mighty Nine, Vox Machina, how do you come up with that shit? So suggestions are greatly appreciated. They're a group of people who met in Iron Coast in Revar, which is a very like craggy, rocky area, hence the Cavern Crew. But they just go by the crew because it's easier. And caverns aren't everywhere. I don't know. That's the original reasoning that I thought up of the name. Doesn't matter. Any more suggestions would be great and well needed. So yeah, I did that, and I now need to keep editing the next, I think it's like 2 or 3 chapters to like fit this, and then I can keep going. I've been definitely like jumping around a lot in this shit, which is interesting, but like still linearly. I can feel the story really starting to coalesce. Now I have Xantar's backstory and motivations a little bit more. Literally just like, I didn't even write them by hand, I typed them actually, because my brain was just working so fast, and like the ties from him to the captain of the ship, and also the captain of the ship's ties to what's going on, and also just like what my crew is like heading towards, what their original goal is, that is going to then stem into book 2 when they actually get to their destination, where they wanted to go. This is just a little like a pit stop, right? So it's all interesting, and yes, the reason why they might get dropped off might not make sense at the beginning, but it will make sense by the end of the book, why they get dropped off on Theramara Minor rather than Theramara Major, where they're headed. And it does have to do a little bit with the fact that they don't have enough gold. Like, there's like a little bit of tension there, but the captain, something goes on. And I'm like, now that I've been sharing so much about this book, I'm just like, I have been sharing so many things that are technically spoilers, and I really should stop. So from here on, I'm gonna be very vague. I'm gonna try to be very vague about what I'm doing with my characters, story beats, all that kind of stuff, because that's spoilers, man. Like, no matter how much I want to talk about this stuff as an author, I'm gonna try to keep it really fucking vague. And so like the beginning of the book I can tell you about, because it's the beginning of the book, it's the hook. They're gonna land on this island, it's being attacked by a creature, and they basically talk to these pirates. They're like, hey, we can do this job for you, can you give us a ride to Theramara Major? That's where we're going. And they're like, sure, besties. We don't think you can actually do anything, but like, it'll give you something to do while you're here for the week. And they're like, what do you mean week? Can't you take us tomorrow? And they're like, no, actually, because our festival's at the end of the week, and that's when our ports reopen. Right now, all of our boats are not functioning. They're not. No, this is our festival week. We do not sail on this week. Little things like that. Like, I can tell you there's that. And like the fact that this is fantasy, mystery, horror vibes. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to like actually ramp up tension and like play with the story, play with the characters, all that good stuff. Anyways, but yeah, it's been a very productive weekend. I have gotten a fair amount of stuff done. The March writing experiment is going well. So yeah, stay tuned for that vlog. Probably near the end of March, if not beginning of April. Very good weekend. And I have not only read half of The Trident and the Pearl by Sarah Kale Wilson, which I haven't really told you about. Well, I guess not quite half. I'm like 45% of the way through. I'm 200 pages in. I finished 2 books this weekend. I finished an arc and also The Full Moon Coffee Shop, which I gave the arc 4 stars, and then I gave The Full Moon Coffee Shop 3 stars. Those are those books. And I did do the little caught up on all of my book crochet squares. So this is for the Full Moon Coffee Shop because it is the slightly different square. My library squares look like this, library book squares. And then I did the arc square, which is Green and Deadly Things. And this was the one I read before that, which was Nightshade and Oak. This one, Nightshade and Oak. And then this was the Poet Empress and what have you. Very fun, very exciting. I like having a little stack of these. Once I have 9, I'll do another row of my book blanket and then attach it to the previous row so we can start making it look more cohesive as a blanket. But yes, I have been reading The Trident and the Pearl. I dove in last night because, one, I needed a book to read after finishing The Full Moon Coffee Shop. And two, the author said that the audiobook narrator was bananas. And so did Sophia. Sophia said that one of her mutuals online had said that the audiobook for this was amazing. And so, as an audiobook girly, I knew. I was like, well, I need a new book to read besides the 187 books I have on my unread TBR. So why not just dive into this? Because it was a perfect opportunity. So last night I dove in. I read 200 pages. It is beautifully written. Absolutely gorgeous. The prose is stunning. It's just the right amount of like, the story is propulsive enough that it keeps you reading. Like everything that this book is pitched as happens in the first fucking chapter, in the first 5 pages of this book. Like basically this book is about a queen. She's the ruler of the Crocus Isles, and the Crocus Isles are under attack by fucking storms. And so she, who doesn't really believe in the gods, goes to pray to the gods and is like, I will give anything. Please save my people. And the gods are like, great, bestie. You're gonna have to marry who first like washes up on shore. And she, in that moment, like knows that her husband, who just went to fucking try find survivors in a shipwreck or whatever, has died. So she's dealing with this grief of her husband just passing away. And then the next day she's marrying a stranger who she thinks is just a fisherman. And this fisherman has got more shit going on. Homie is something. And like slowly as we go through this, it's revealed that he is not who he seems to be. It's just like, it's so interesting to see our main character Coralise interact with him, and then like she's not listening and she's also not letting him explain, but he's also not explaining. Like he's it's the kind like this writing is absolutely beautiful, but a lot of the dialogue in here is very like classical fantasy, a little bit of that like very formal type of writing, right? So it is not very formal, but like it's leaning that way, so it isn't very clear, and communication is hard with that kind of like conversation, you know what I mean? So he's not saying enough. And I also don't understand why he's keeping so many secrets. And there's like a reason. He keeps saying like, oh, I'll tell you if you want to make this marriage real, if you want to give up your grief for your husband, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, bestie, what the fuck does that have to do with anything of just telling her what's going on and who you are? Like, what? So there's gotta be a reason there, because he's being very whatever. And then she figures out who he is without him telling her. And then he's like, okay, cool. I have a really super tragic history with this, and I'm still like not healed from it and all this kind of stuff. And he literally has a wound that does not heal on his thigh. And I thought it was really funny because it was something that came up in the reading, if you will, with Nisha J. Dooley. It's revealed that he has this wound because their marriage rites on this island, the two people getting married, are naked and everyone else is blindfolded, so that like they're naked to the sea, they're naked to each other, that there's nothing to hide kind of a thing. It's this whole thing. She sees that he has this incredibly gory wound on his upper thigh. The wound is gory and open. It has barely missed destroying his manhood, gouging into the meat high up his thigh. And I was like, I understand why you did this. Because like, if you didn't make it very, very clear, and this was also, Sarah said this in her signing, that if she didn't make it abundantly clear that his manhood is still functioning, the readers would be rioting. Which, this is not an actual romantasy, actually. The author made it kind of clear that she's not a big fan of like writing on page sex. She's a little bit bigger fan of like closed door sort of. But also this book is like, she's pitched it as a romantic fantasy, so a fantasy with a romance plotline, a really strong romance plotline, which makes sense because this is a forced marriage trope, and like right now it's only hatred, and there's wanton desire from his side of things because she's a beautiful woman, but she is so much like, she's still grieving her dead husband. She's just like, don't fucking touch me, you bitch. Like all this kind of stuff. So I don't expect any actual romantasy stuff, but this is pitched so often online as a romantasy. So I found that very interesting, that the author was like, no, it's not really a romantasy. This is more of a romantic fantasy, like fantasy with a heavy romance plotline, not our typical romantasy that we see day to day now. So anyways, I am really enjoying this. I'm loving the lore of this world. I'm loving the gods. You guys know I'm a whore for gods in books, and the gods in here are so fascinating because it becomes very clear that they are not like gods in the sense of like they are omnipotent, all-seeing, all-powerful beings. They are gods because they are mortals who took the power of other gods, and it's like that is the lineage of these gods, is that you can kill a god, they are not immortal, and you can take their power and like step up from that, which is fascinating. As someone who is an author and as someone who loves magic and fantasy and godly systems and stuff like that, like finding gods that are actually quite mortal feeling is so cool. So I'm excited to keep reading this, to see where Sarah takes this book. It is also absolutely fucking stunning. I am obsessed with this cover. I do wish, because I know Sarah did mention, because someone brought up the cover in the talk, but Sarah did mention that the original cover was something that she didn't think, she and her agent didn't think fit the book originally, which is actually surprising how much the publisher like let her have a say, but they like advocated for a change in the cover because a lot of, fun fact, authors have very little say over their covers unless they're very prolific or unless their publishers are very nice. Like usually it's the publisher and the marketing team who decides, right? Because they know what's going to sell. She ended up sending some fan art that she had commissioned. She commissioned this art of her two characters from, what's his name? Or what's their name? I don't know their gender. And she sent this art by Orion Makuo to the publisher and was like, could you do something with this? And then this is what the designer like came up with, which is a beautiful cover. I just wish that they had like taken the fan art and like made the fan art the whole cover instead of just making it like a square here. I think they could have done something interesting with that, or like contacted the artist and been like, hey, could you make this more of a, like you can make it a little bit taller to make the proportions work for the side. Anyways, it's still a beautiful cover. It's still a nice cover, and it is a beautiful book to hold, and like the inside is lovely and the margins are fucking huge, but we have like a pretty design of pearls on the inside, which is nice. And like each chapter heading has a little design, which we like. I think they're all crowns. Anyways, I broke my book buying ban just a smidge. Don't worry, we're back on it. I also have plans because I do need to actually wrap up a TBR side quest soon. I have to read one more book for that. But once that one's done, I have plans for the next TBR side quest to be a taste test because I have a lot of books that I want to unhaul. I'm in the mood to just rip apart my shelves and unhaul a bunch of shit. So I think I have a way to really cull down the TBR, and that is by taking them all off my shelves and just getting rid of them. So we're gonna do a taste test and we're gonna see if any of the books that I want, that I'm like iffy on keeping, are worth my time. Maybe I'll read a couple of them or whatever, but it's gonna be a taste test TBR side quest up next. Not the one that's gonna come out next, but like on the docket for me anyways. Anywhoozle, my friends, I have been yapping for long enough. It's been a good weekend. It's almost 2 a.m. now. Fuck, I gotta go to bed. I don't want to work tomorrow. I'm so tired. I'm so sleepy. Elias. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow for Monday, but yeah, it's been a good weekend.
Hello, friends. You can't hear me. My mic. Hello. My mic is so far away, and I keep yapping without it close to my face. Hello, my beautiful friends. It is Monday. There we go. It's Monday. I am here. It's been a long day, but that's all right. It's always the time after the time change. My hair also looks atrocious right now. What the fuck is this? Throw it to the back of the head. It's fine. I need a haircut so bad. The layers are not layering anymore. It's been a good day. It's been a long day. Teaching was good. Work was good. Came home from teaching and I had an article that I was expecting all day come in as I was driving home from teaching. So I edited it and then sent it to my designer so that we could finish the content that was missing in our magazine that we're working on together tonight. Hopefully he gets it to me by the morning. This time of year, it's like everything's starting to kick into gear again with work, because the first couple months of the year are always very slow because everything is either closed and done for me, or like I'm just in a waiting game for things to open up and like content to come in, whatever. Fun fact about work. Yeah, teaching was good. Very chill. Cold as fuck outside once again because we just keep going through warm snaps, cold snaps. It's March. Of course, we keep doing so. I have been just itching to do more creative work. I can feel my brain like really expanding and wonderful. And I've been editing this vlog so far, and I was just listening to this whole part. Like, I just finished up to the clip that you last saw. I just was listening to myself talk about the gods in The Trident and the Pearl by Sarah Kale Wilson, and it unlocked a new idea in my head for a new book. And I'm just like, I wrote it in my notes app, and I was like, ooh, this could be fun to do, to explore further in the future. My brain needs to chill because I have enough story ideas to work with right now. I have enough. It's enough slices. That's fun. I always like when that happens, when I like get random inspiration from random shit. This weekend was great. Very productive. Finally hit the 20,000 word mark in Far Horizons. We're back on that shit. That vlog will be coming in April for my March writing experiment. So far, so good, my friends. I'm having a good time. I'm slowly trying to get writing back into my life, creativity at least in my life, creating a little bit of a. I saw someone on TikTok say this, and I was like, oh, yeah. I don't know why I didn't like click in my head, but it's like, instead of the 9 to 5, it's the 5 to 9. Like, after work is what gives them the most. That's what, like, it was a writer who said that's when it gives them the most thrills. Like, they do the 9 to 5 to pay the bills, but the 5 to 9 is to like pay the thrills. And I was like, that's really cutie. So that's what we're attempting to do. We're trying to build a little bit of a routine in my writing life. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And I've already read 2 books in March, and we are partway through the third, which I'm excited about. So hopefully going to continue reading this very soon. Probably not tonight because I do have to finish editing this vlog and my brain is not here tonight. And I'm also listening to Harry's new album, Harry Styles' new album. I tried to listen to it on the way home from work, and it was giving Ross with his fucking keyboard. I was not having it. So I knew, I was like, okay, well, if I want to actually like listen to this, I need to have either my headphones on or I need to watch H.T. Hayes listen to it, because I know H.T. Hayes is such a fascinating person with music. I love Troy. I love watching him experience music. And it is also such a fun time to see someone else react to music and like kind of get their thoughts and all that kind of stuff. I just have a really fun time with new music and like watching reactions to albums and stuff online. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I've been doing that and I've been listening to it. Now there's a couple of songs on the album that I don't hate. So that's good. But I just don't think this kind of music is my genre, which is totally fine. Like, I just don't like the electric pop vibe very much. Like Harry's House, that was my shit. So that's fine. But pop, stunning. Absolutely fucking amazing. And also Coming Up Roses, I think. Is that the other one? I really like that one. That was beautiful, beautifully written. And I think what my issue is that Harry's vocals in this album are placed so far back, and like the music is so heavily forward, but then the few songs where his voice is like more forward, like it usually is on his other songs, I like those better because you can actually hear him because he has a beautiful voice. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want more of, please. Like, I think a lot of the songs in this album would be better if they just put his vocals forward instead of the music forward. But I know that's not the point of this project. Like, he's doing something with music and production and whatever he's exploring, so he can do whatever he wants. But yeah, that's what I've been doing tonight since getting home. I've been watching H.T. Hayes' Patreon full album live stream of Harry's new album, Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. What an album title. That's what I've been doing. So I'm probably going to finish that as I edit my vlog, get that ready for tomorrow for you guys instead of reading. So that's the plan anyways. But yes, I didn't read yesterday either. Now that I'm thinking about it, I ended up doing so much like writing stuff and messing around with Far Horizons and stuff like that I didn't end up doing any reading yesterday either. So whoops, just everything on Friday and Saturday. Oh well, Sunday just didn't, no reading on Sunday, just writing, which is totally fine. I'm really glad that I caught up on a bunch of creativity stuff on Sunday. So yay for that. Anyways, my friends, I'm gonna leave this vlog here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. As always, I will catch you in another video very, very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.